Are you aware of the incredible potential that your child has? It is in them. They are born with this potential. But how do they reach this potential? How do we reach our fullest potential ourselves? In many ways, it starts with an environment that supports them where they are in their development. But more importantly, it requires an adult that nurtures and guides this potential. We are to be the prepared adult. And this doesn't happen instantly because we just decide one day that now I am going to be a more prepared mother. It happens gradually over time. It happens by changing our outlook on a couple of things. And that is what we're going to chat about today. Hi there, I'm Emma. Welcome back. I am an elementary trained Montessori guide. I spent 5 years teaching in a lower elementary Montessori classroom. And then my husband and I found out that we were pregnant with twins, and I decided to come home to be with our boys and try my hand at implementing my many years of experience of the Montessori philosophy into our home with 2 babies. Our twin boys are almost 3 years old now, and I have grown more, learned more, and had a new appreciation for the Montessori philosophy since being home than I even did while I was in the classroom, I think. As a mom, we are balancing and navigating so many things. The stages and the seasons rapidly change. There are so many responsibilities and tasks that we need to manage throughout the day. And then on top of that, we have this incredible responsibility of raising our children to be capable, independent, and respectful human beings. And this is no easy task, and it can feel really overwhelming at times, especially in those hard moments when our children are having really big feelings and it just feels chaotic. I'm in this too. I'm living in the trenches at times, but I'm also starting to see and have seen so much beauty and fruit from these small actions that I've been taking as a Montessori mama. So as my boys are getting a little bit older, I'm starting to realize more what my role as their mama is. It's changed a little bit since they were little babies. Instead of being a source of food and comfort and changing diapers, now I am guiding them in a different way in the world. This is where I'm really helped by the way Dr. Montessori refers to the teacher as the guide. It kind of puts me into the right position and the right headspace of what my role is to be. I'm not just living my day, just telling my children how things work or how it is to be. I'm actually modeling to them, and I'm learning how to do this better every day, to give them small steps that they can take all on their own. And throughout the process, I'm guiding them towards greater independence. And I know as I say it like that, it sounds so lovely and so perfect and pretty. And sometimes it really is lovely to see these moments unfold. But other times it completely flops and it fails and it becomes frustrating for everyone. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. Having our children do things for themselves can be challenging and uncomfortable, and it takes practice to give them that freedom and to stay present in it and hold boundaries for them, because we know what they're capable of and we are there to kind of guide them through all of these moments in their life. Okay, so what does this look like practically? How do we become the prepared adult? And as I speak of these things, just know that I am right there alongside with you. I too have moments where I lose my temper, I grow impatient, I speak unkindly, and I'm working on it. And that's why this is a journey and a process, and it comes through lots of repetition and lots of practice, just like these skills for our children come through them having lots of repetition to work at them. And over time we will see progress. You really can't talk about a Montessori environment without talking about what it means to be the prepared adult. In a very simple way, you can think of a Montessori environment, even our homes, as three main things kind of working together to create this type of environment that we want. And so it's the child, the prepared adult, and our environment, the prepared environment, working together. I went back and I looked in my Montessori training to see what was taught about this preparation. And there was a list of characteristics of things we aspire to be. I'm going to read that list. The prepared adult is to be patient, calm, observant, passionate, curious, dependable, warm, open-minded, humble, soulful, respectful, joyful, intuitive, empathetic, supportive, self-aware, resilient, non-judgmental, collaborative, authentic, healthy, kind but firm, knowledgeable, a lifelong learner with a sense of humor. And Dr. Montessori noted that we all have characteristics in us that are not good. We have weeds, and we need to tend to those so that they don't act as obstacles for the child. I think this element of the prepared adult is what calls me on so much and makes me so passionate about this idea and this aspect of Montessori philosophy, but how it impacts my motherhood, is that there are areas of weakness in my own life, things that I struggle with, flawed areas, sinful areas, and those often can get twisted to become a blame or a problem that we put onto the child, which is not fair or justified. Where Dr. Montessori speaks a lot of needing to rid ourselves of pride and vanity, because these things become an obstacle to the child. They are obstacles that we need to work to remove from our own lives to help aid our children. Children have this natural inclination for exploration, right? They want to explore, especially young children and young toddlers. And for them, they will explore anything that is near them and around them. And that's where part of our job as the prepared adult is to prepare our environment to meet the needs of our children. So if our children have this need to explore, we are going to want to give them things that they can appropriately explore. But if we leave out a container of paperwork or painting supplies or whatever it may be, because life happens, and then our toddler finds their way into that, they're just exploring like anything else that they explore with, their toys, their other things. This tote that I left out, my child has found. They are just doing what they are wired and compelled to do. So I think this is a great example of where we could turn this frustration onto our child of being so naughty and getting into things, and we could blame them when really this was a shortcoming or a flaw in our own selves. We did not adequately prepare the environment to meet our children's need. We didn't prepare it in such a way to avoid these types of obstacles, and we're never going to do it perfectly, but I think we have to be careful of blaming the child for things that really are our own shortcomings, and we can name those things. I mean, we can hold two things to be true at one time. I do this all the time, right? Like, stopping the exploration of things that are not there, and maybe a lot of empathy of like, I'm sorry that this was left out for you to use. I didn't know it was left out and you found it. I have to put this away now. And taking ownership of the fact that there was a lack of preparation on your part and the child was just doing what the child does, and it's not all on them because that situation happened. We could have very clearly avoided that situation if we had been better prepared in that moment. And this is where we bump up against these things a lot in motherhood, or at least I do, because life is so full and there are so many things going on. And so I think having an awareness of those developmental needs of our children helps us to prepare the environment helps us to avoid some of these problem places by being prepared ourselves and preparing our environment. And then these three things work really well together when we keep in mind those different needs. I have found myself recently having big emotions myself around moments of potty training. And this is when it brings up for me this piece of what do I expect? My children are still learning. They will not do this perfectly. There will be accidents. And when there are accidents and I have a big reaction to it, it's usually because it feels really inconvenient to clean that up or get new clothes and do the whole process. But it also is revealing my own lack of preparation or being prepared because I was maybe distracted or not paying attention and not observing their signs and signals or the clock to give them the correct promptings at the right time to avoid that. And so my reactions sometimes come out in frustration on my children when really I'm frustrated with myself and my own flaws and inadequacies. I don't do it perfectly, but I am trying to, after having those big reactions and losing my temper or saying things in a harsh way, to make amends and to apologize to my children so that they know that I was frustrated with the situation and that I understand that they're still learning, and to let them know that what I did and how I acted was not okay. I think one misconception about Montessori often is that people think that children in Montessori environments get to do whatever they want. There's just all of this freedom, and I think nothing could be further from the truth. However, I do think sometimes that is what Montessori looks like in certain schools or environments, depending on the level of training of the guides. From my training and from my experience working in the classroom and now in our home, Montessori actually is very structured in an unstructured way, and that structure comes from the prepared environment and from the prepared adult, and where we are called to understand the developmental needs of our child and those characteristics. If you want to learn a little bit more about what those characteristics are for your age child, I have a blog post written about the 4 planes of development, which are the different stages or planes of development that Dr. Montessori would talk about. And each one has a set of characteristics and tendencies that kind of guides that time in the child's life. And it can help us when we are interacting and communicating with children at those different planes on how to communicate to them what types of things are important, what are they really interested in and compelled towards. I will put a link down in the description box below if you want to check out that blog post, as well as a ton of other blog posts to get you more familiar with some of these Montessori principles. I've said this before, but it helps me in my role as mother and as guide to my children. One of my jobs as my boy's mother is to help them to learn how the world works so that they can work well in the world. And I think that really is the key for me, or has been the key to my growth as a prepared adult and becoming, a better prepared adult, a more prepared adult, is getting confident in communicating with my children and setting boundaries in a firm and loving way, in learning how to offer choices and really direct the day and direct the flow and the feeling of my home with the ways that I communicate with my children, the ways that I involve them. I think this is a skill that you develop over time, and I'm noticing the more opportunities I give myself to interact with my children, whether it's in the kitchen or in our sunroom play space, the more opportunities that I am guiding them and, really being attentive to, and I'm not just reacting to them. Our hardest moments are when I am trying to bulldoze through my day without them being involved, and they seem to be like an obstacle to what I have to get done. When I can really pull them into what I'm doing or get them connected to the environment so that I can get something done, that is when our days go the smoothest. And it takes lots of repetition of getting them involved. And like I said at the beginning, it's not going to all go very smoothly. Like, there will be messes and there will be frustration, and it's a learning process. But I am starting to see more and more of the fruit of the time that I have spent in the kitchen with them, in the our playroom, schoolroom area with them, just taking the time to guide them on how things work. We are making some chocolate chip cookies. The boys have been excited about cookies because they've been listening to this Frog and Toad story on their Yodel player, and there's a story about cookies.
I make cookies. Oh,
Reading hands.
I forgot how to make cookies. I forgot how to make cookies. Sink. Yes, Mom. Like these.
Do not put your hands back. We made some cookies and they got to have one. It was really fun. I also made some chicken legs. I found this really yummy marinade. I'll put a link down in the description box below with all of these recipes. Made some homemade Picco de Gallo, roasted potatoes for dinner. Classic me. I made all these wonderful things and then forgot to put them all together on a plate to show you. But we definitely enjoyed the dinner all together as a family, and a special little yummy cookie treat for dessert. Well, you guys, I hope you feel inspired or encouraged in some way on your journey and your work of becoming a prepared adult. I am right there with you day in, day out. This is a big work, a big undertaking, and give yourself a lot of grace as you learn and practice and develop the skills and the mindset that go along with guiding your child through life, preparing them for working well in the world. Stay tuned. At the end of this video, I put a little clip of my son singing the ABCs. They've been obsessed with the ABCs lately, and he wanted to try out my microphone, and it is the sweetest little track. Well, you guys, I will see you next week for another video. Have a great day. Bye.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. No, A, B, C's. Next time, won't you sing this me?